Hello and welcome back to Purple Goes Swimming, otherwise known as the Warlock Life Episode 8. Um, Level 8 now. I don't think too much has changed with the enhancements. The basic thing, until we get to 12 now, we wanted the 3 cores there and the cone shape, which we've got. We've been using these 2 spell-like abilities, Stricken and Consume. Now, I didn't mention before, but these synergize well with the light from the Utter Dark Blast, because these two are affected by light and alignment. You can see their chaotic damage, that's alignment damage. Same for that. So you only need to gear for light, radiance, and radiance law, and you've got these covered, plus the base blast damage from the Utter Dark Blast. So that's nice. I didn't mention either what's in these cores because there's 5 universal spell power in each one, so that's nice. You've got some fortification in there, which is pretty nice. And also there we have immunity to fear, which isn't bad, because to be cowering in fear and unable to do anything is not ideal. Otherwise I put the point back in the feigned health, so we get 40 odd each time I cast that, 40 odd temporary hit points, so that's a nice little buffer, and it's something like 150 odd when I use stanch, so that's nice too. I forgot to mention at level 7 we got our first level 3 spell. I took Dimension Door. Now that's just basically a shortcut for people who know the quests a bit and who want to get back. It just does it mention there? Yeah, a portal that can transport you and your companions back to the entrance of your dungeon. So to save you some fights sometimes or some running back, just a convenience thing really. I've got it mainly because we've got the Feywild coming up soon, and that lends itself very well to the DDO. Um, Let me just go through some of the alternatives, because if you are newer to the game and the quests in general, you probably won't want the D-door and won't get as much mileage out of it. So let's have a look at some of the level 3 alternatives you could take. The one that springs to mind without even looking is Displacement. Very nice, that 50% mischance for opponents, but it's on a short duration. When you first take it, it's less than a minute that it lasts for, and it's reasonably costly spell point wise to cast as well. So either just choose carefully when you cast it, or you could wait a little bit later in the leveling process to pick it up, at which point you will have more spell points and it will last longer because the duration scales with the level of the character. So Displacement is the sort of standout one for level 3. You've got Stone Skin as well, but most people, given that the Warlock has so few spell slots, would not recommend that, and instead it would say if you want to use that, pick up some Stone Skin wands from the vendor in the Tower of the 12. What else have we got that's reasonably competitive here? If you are spec'd into the necromancy side of things, the sort of scare, and then this is the next one up from scare, fear, area of effect, terror spell, causing panic in enemies. Those that fail to save are also slowed, which isn't bad. I'll definitely be going for Displacement and D-door in the fullness of time, but Stone Skin isn't a terrible choice, although you can get those wands, as I say. Fear, not terrible. Dark Discorporation, good for disengaging or avoiding combat, I guess. Invisibility, incorporeality, damage incoming reduced, but once you attack again you get reverted to normal form, so probably not for me. Haste, not terrible. If you've no other source of fast running speed, this could cure that issue. Because as I keep saying, nothing sucks worse than slow run speed. But like the displacement, that's going to be on a short duration, so you would have to recast it quite often. Also, another spell, what did we take? We got another level 2 spell, so I took invisibility, so I no longer have to use the wand. Right, is there anything else on there that I need to talk about? I don't think so. So, the gear at level 8 is almost a complete transformation for me. If I could bring up the right thing there. Right, and that was the last piece. What is that? Oh, that's a double slotted item I found in a quest reward list. If you are starting out and you're relatively short of platinum, you could try looking for these double slotted items. You see down at the bottom of the description here, we see blue augment slot, colourless augment slot. Those are reasonably sought after by people who do the Canith crafting, because the more augment slots means more potential for your item. So you could get quite a hefty sum. You could even ask 1,000,000 or more platinum for something like this. Maybe even 2,000,000, which is more or less the max on the auction house. If somebody's really looking for something, they could well decide to splash out on something like that, and you would find platinum then much more plentiful for your needs. Right, so the gear, the glasses have stayed the same since level 2, the armour is the same from level 5, everything else has changed apart from the boots, which we already covered. Oh, and the orb is the same. I've upgraded the Hull Melter's Mace, it's the next one up, so a bit more insightful corrosion, a bit more fortification, acid law, and the jewel in the crown at this level, actually I could have put it one earlier because it's a level 7 item, but it's got a level 8 augment in it. I'll discuss that too. But this is ridiculously overpowered for the level it comes available at. Profane Life Force is nice, that's 15 hit points that stack with every other source of false life. But the Profane Spell Focus 2, that's 2 extra on your spell DCs, on all spells. That's just insanely good for level 8. In fact, so good that the legendary equivalent of this also only has a 2 bonus. So I have to believe that's a mistake. But I think it is doing what it says there, giving 2. So that's a really sweet item. That comes from the Isle of Dread expansion pack, the newest expansion. Really, really good. Now the Sapphire of Snow Peak Speed, as the name would suggest, comes from the event of the same name, and is really nice because it gives you access to maximum movement potential, 30%, at level 8. Now level 8, as far as I know, is the earliest you can get that, either from this Sapphire, or there is a Topaz of Swiftness that will do the same job, which you can get for astral shards from one of the vendors dotted around. Or if you're lucky, you could, if you're in a big guild, you could ask around, and I bet somebody would have one they wouldn't mind dropping you. But yes, the 30% run speed from level 8 is very nice. I've chosen to put this Sapphire in this item, although it makes the minimum level of the item 8 instead of the 7 I could have worn it at otherwise. I chose this item because this is something I'm likely going to wear right up until the legendary gear comes towards the cap, because it really is that good. Profane 2. The Profane 2 is the bonus that's on all the top-notch legendary items, so that's how good that is. Available from level 8. We have a mysterious cloak, very nice. That is, where does that come from now? That comes from the mysterious remnant vendor in the Hall of Heroes, and is only available on special champion hunter weekends. So you've got stacking healing amp, which is nice, magical resistance, yeah, and 2 slots there. Now in the first slot we've got something of note, the Sapphire of Heavy Fortification, which gives 100 fortification. 100 at level 8 is ridiculously good, so those sapphires are seriously sought after. If you find one that you don't particularly want to keep, I bet you could get the max of 2.1 million on the platinum auction house for it. And if you put it up for shards in the shard exchange, I bet you could get some shards for it too. They are definitely sought after. The rest of this gear is mostly slave lords. I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-piece slave lords set. You can see there I've got the bonus. I've got the slave lord sorcery on it, so a bit of a bonus to spell power, spell focus mastery. So between this and the set from the slave lord's bonus, we've got a nice bonus to the spell focus mastery. You remember in the early quests we were on about a 19 save for that entanglement. Now we're on a 33 for web, so that's pretty decent considering our build is focused more on constitution than charisma. Where had I got to? The spell focus mastery, wasn't it? Yeah. So these slavers items, that one's a very nice one too. The spinneret. Again, we'll see more spell focus mastery towards the bottom there. Quality this time, which is stacking with everything else. So really nice to have. Actually, I've I've duplicated there. I've got a Sapphire of Heavy Fortification in there as well. So I could and should take one out. They don't stack. Very little of the same thing stacks in this game. So you'll find only the biggest will apply. Like if you put, let's say you put a ruby of corrosion 50 and a ruby of corrosion 34, you only get corrosion 50, not 84. And that's the principle for everything. If you want things to stack, you have to have a different type of bonus. For example, you can have, for hit points, you can have false life, you can have vitality, you can have profane bonus to life, maybe quality bonus, insightful. All those will stack because they're not the same, but false life will not stack with another false life, that kind of thing. So we'll have a quick look at the slave lord's gear I've put together. I think this was meant for the warlock, the acid caster. So yes, you can see concentration, radiance law, and that's the quality false life I've been talking about there that stacks down at the bottom. Got a topaz of acid resistance in there. Combustion, I think I'd put that on at the time when I was using the burning blood enhancement out of this tree. I don't use it anymore. I'm not particularly a fan of it. Although it will take your meta magics, maximising power and all that, if you ever want to try it. Could be useful against the boss. I don't know. I haven't tried it in some time. I tend to use these stricken and consume against the bigger targets. So yeah, the standard stuff: spell sight, constitution. Um, Looking at all this, don't feel that you absolutely need to change the gear, like I've been doing every couple of levels or so. It's totally not necessary. You could totally get away with, some basic bits and pieces at level 2, put some Feywild gear at 5 if you have it, wait until 10, put the Ravenloft stuff, and that could take you to the level 20, or you could swap for Shan stuff at 15. I mean, some people did, and I'm sure still do, put the Slave Lord stuff, which is very competitive, on at level 8 and just go all the way to the legendary levels with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Perfectly viable. I guess I'm just part of the reason I'm showing all these things is you will see things popping up repeatedly, the same things. I'm just trying to give an idea of the kinds of things that are desirable for a build like this. So spell sight is always coming up for extra spell power. Constitution for any build for more health, more survivability. Spell focus mastery, again, for most any caster. You want to improve the DCs of your spells to give yourself more chance to incapacitate the enemies, or to make more damage. So Radiance, we're dealing with light and alignment spell power. Charisma, that's our casting stat as a Warlock. We've already seen that. The Spinneret, very nice for the extra bonus to spell DCs, and quality potency. So that stacks with all the other boosts we've got to spell powers to give us a little bit more on each one. And the last Slaver's item there, quality fortification. Sheltering is a bonus to physical and magical resistance. Resistance item, you've seen that before, giving us bonuses to saves. So with that Sapphire and the bonuses we've got for being an Acid Warlock, look at this. This is utterly ridiculous. 208% fortification at level 8. It's way in excess of what's needed at this level. I mean, that would be alright for a character at the cap at the level 32. I'm pretty sure you would be. In fact, that's more than my archer has currently got at 32. So the mind boggles, and that's partly because the Warlock is getting some fortification in this tree, 25% extra there, and partly because I don't know if it shows it on level up, or maybe it will. This here, look, that's one of the things that the Acid Warlock gets on one of the earlier level ups, so we've got an extra 25% fortification there. We're getting some extra fortification from this whole melter's maze, 100 from the Sapphire. So fortification wise, he's never going to get critical hit unless he gets hit by one of those red crown things in Reaper. And the last two pieces, we've got some acid spell power, corrosion on the gloves, healing amp, and dodge and spell saves. Spell saves is just as it says there, an extra bonus to saving throws against spells. So any spell that comes in, whether it's a trap that sets it off or an enemy caster, we get an extra +4 bonus to save against that, which is nice. think that's it for the gear. So we're here swimming in the very start of what is probably one of the game's most iconic quests, the Legend of Two-Toed Tobias in the Three-Barrel Cove. It's run very often, both in heroic and epic. In heroic because it's part of a saga and gives good experience, very good experience at the level it's run at. Epic the same, gives good experience, but the main reason it's run there is for the this little treasure here, the Cursed Blade of Jack Jibbers, which can help you to rescue a quest. If you've died, you can raise yourself as a wraith, and you have 1 minute there, as it says there, to get yourself back to a rest shrine or otherwise rescue the situation before you die again. So it can because it's especially useful in Reaper mode, because as you probably know, there is a lockout in Reaper. You can't exit from a quest and come back as you might be able to do on the lower difficulties. So if you die in Reaper, this is one of the ways to rescue the situation. More so in a raid where you can't bring hirelings, because hirelings would be another way to rescue the situation if you're in there on your own. Okay, enough waffle. Let's try and get on with the quest. So yes, this is the epic version of this quest, is where this Cursed Blade of Jibbers can drop. It's a very rare drop in that quest, and somehow this character Peril, the first time he ran this quest to my knowledge, managed to drop one of these. I was flabbergasted. I must have run it 50 plus times in epic with my main character Fools, and only maybe twice seen it drop. So that just tells you how rare the thing is. Give ourselves a few buffs. Oh, I've made another mistake here, haven't I? Oh, let's just explain this. Now, these weapon sets, if you didn't know, you can drag your pair of weapons that you want to be using, in this case the mace and the orb, to the same slot in the weapon sets. Drag that weapon set onto the hotbar, and then anytime you click on something else to take up one of those weapon slots, in this case I'm going to click here for a bit more spell power, you can just press the hotbar key and you've got your proper weapons back again. Same for it's very useful if you have to use a scroll, for example, mid-battle, but don't forget to re-click on the weapon. It's to save you going back into your inventory and searching for things, and meanwhile getting shot at and butchered by opponents. It's just a nice quick way to get the weapons equipped again.
The cacophony of wailing and moaning becomes clearer as you enter the cave. An opening in the ground reveals another body of water to explore. The valve triggers a rush of water through the pipes, followed by the sound of a door opening.
We'll just try and get rid of these before we move on.
A strong current pushes against you.
So we're going this way first to disable the what it's referring to as the strong current, these sonic traps. That valve, as you just saw there, is a bit trapped itself. You can have those spikes drop on you from the ceiling, which is not great. And people will say you need to wear a water breathing item in here, but I find there's ample opportunity just to stick your head above water and take a breath. One thing, if you have a hireling in a quest with you, you obviously can't heal underwater, but the hirelings can. So if, let's say, we were out of breath and we were struggling, we could summon the hireling to us and get them to heal us, to keep us up. It's just a little something that I've picked up along the way. Thought I heard something there.
You hear doors close ahead and behind you. You fear that you are trapped.
Apologies if it looks really laggy. We had to abandon a game earlier on account of that. It's looking increasingly like the influx of people from other servers to Orion is adversely affecting the performance of this server. Still, I suppose you can't have it all. If you want people to play with, then I guess you have to put up with some of... Oh, my shield's run out. So that, in a nutshell, that you just saw there is why shield or night shield is very nice to have, especially in Reaper. I just got destroyed there by that magic missile.
A slight breeze emerges from behind the wall. A ship's mast rises up from a chasm in the cave floor.
So we're looking for 2 valves in here to progress the quest. The first one, you see we've got 2 little ways we can go here. It's on the right hand side here, underwater. And the second one we need to swim. We just keep down, well, we can bob up and get a breath, and then just keep down under the water, under the ship. You see we're going between where that shrine is on the map and down a little passageway through here.
A frigid cold cuts through your
Now we're
body
expecting
as you see a
cold
frozen
damage
river
here, so we
below.
could try the fire shield hot on our scroll.
The air becomes even colder as the ice method attacks you. The source of the cold air is coming from this room.
Don't move when you pull this valve. Just let the fire things go off around you.
Allowing you to continue your search for two-toed Tobias.
Eventually the ice will melt and we can go further on towards the second valve, which is at the end of this little section.
The second valve triggers another chain reaction, which opens the door.
If we come
to
out
the rest
here
of
and
the
look up on the
dungeon.
right, there's a ladder, and we can use that to get back more quickly to where we were, rather than going all the way back down there. Oh. So that's where we were, down on the ship. We're up above now. And this is the door that we've opened with those two valves. Now this section
Levers appear
is
on
one of
opposite
the
sides
reasons
room,
why
adorned
I
with
carry
bullseyes.
one of these returning. You can have either a returning dart, a returning axe, just something that, or you could even carry a bow and arrow if you wanted. Something that's capable of hitting these target lever things here to progress a quest. Because in some cases you really need to, or the other thing you need to do is turn off the blasting. So in this case we're doing cone blast. Just switch that off, and then we can use these darts to hit these targets here.
As the lever flips back,
Had
the
I not
floor
had that, I don't
opens.
think I could have progressed. In some cases the quest will leave you a bow and arrow out somewhere to collect, but I don't think we get that here. So somebody has to have one of these. Just a handy little thing to have. Doesn't matter what level, doesn't have to be any good. Just has to be able to hit the levers. Don't forget to swap your weapons back in after you've done it. And turn back on your blasting. So there's a sneaky valve just under here. And that opens up this hole here, and this takes us round towards the end of the quest.
The door before you opens as if you were expected.
Now, if you're a bit of a squishy character and you don't really want to be involved in the end fight, you can jump up here if you have sufficient jump and just do the things from
supposed
here.
urban legend speaks to you.
It's about time someone found me.
I have long. The legend of two-toed Tobias was not just an urban myth, although it is doubtful that anyone will believe your tale.
So this
of
is one of the
victory.
situations our knock spell from our pact is going to get as an extra chest. There's nothing special in there, but it's better than nothing. And that completes the quest. That was level 8. I think I've covered it all. Thank you very much for looking, and we'll speak to you next time. Take care.